Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Uh, I know I've been really bad this, it's my 6th year, it's been 6 years now. Like 6 years that I've been doing this and I'm still not done. And oh man, it has been a journey. Still have I've gone through 1100 plus stories at this point. I still have like 130 to go. I'm hoping. Oh my god, I really thought this would be quick. Like, granted, I thought, uh, I knew like okay, it's still 1200 plus stories, so okay, it's gonna take me a while. I thought maybe 4 years. I didn't think it's just I've been really slow. This last year I know has been super slow, but oh man, can't believe I'm still doing this, but still got a lot of stories here. I wanted to get this video out for the anniversary ish like weekend, so this one's a little shorter because I actually couldn't finish the full 7 that I normally do for these videos. So I only have 5 stories for this. But let me dive in and get saying like why I started this. I started this because I saw somebody else on space sufficient velocity. I believe it was like CV12 Hornet or something. They went through their favorites list initially on fanfiction.net, and that guy's done obviously way more than me. He's gone through his AO3 backlog, and now he's doing space battles fix and stuff. Like, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I think after this, after the fanfiction.net list, I'm going to stop. But anyway, I saw his thing where he was like, go through my old list, see if I still like the fix on that list or not. Because, I added these. I started reading these in high school, these stories, and, now it's been almost 20 years since I started reading fanfiction, so hey, maybe my taste has changed. I've gone through a lot of these, and a lot of we've gone through about half of the things that I've gone through have been kicked off the list. Honestly, like going back and reading all these fics, I'm surprised how much my tastes still match up to what it was back when I was much younger. Hell, the majority of the fics that I've dropped were more because of lack of updates, where like I added them on because I read 1 or 2 chapters, and that was all that was there at the time, and I was like, oh, this is cool, it'll grow into something that'll be really interesting, and then the author just stopped updating, and that's why I dropped it off the list. And that's understandable. But I'm more surprised how few of these are more just because like what was of the bad taste, or like what was I thinking reading this and liking this as a kid. That's great. At least it gives me some more confidence in my own taste, or maybe my taste is still shit, just never evolved. Anyway, let's dive into these stories. So I've gone, like I said, I've been doing this for years. Started this in 2018. And that's around when I stopped updating my favorites list here as well. I didn't add many more because I didn't want this to go on forever. But I also just naturally moved away from fanfiction.net. That's my main source of reading these, so that's also why this hasn't ballooned. So now we're up to we're up to the end. So not only is this a 6-year anniversary, but this is also, I think, we're going to be ending 2014 here, or very close to it. We're in December of 2014. So let's dive in with the first one for this video, with Naruto the Wandering Pokemon Professor by CrimsonKyuubiSage. This is a Naruto and Pokemon crossover where literally after the end of the events of Naruto, he gets sucked into like a space-time bubble and just pops up in front of a bunch of Pokemon professors. And then it jump cuts to a future where Naruto is as it says, wandering professor. He doesn't have his own region. He just travels and does a bunch of stuff. And this essentially becomes a Pokemon anime like story, like region story, with Naruto the professor as the main protagonist. I just wasn't feeling the story going through it. Like, I read it, Naruto has a team, and it's like the flow of the story never felt right. Like the actual structure of it and the way dialogue flow like was written and stuff, it felt a little confusing. Um, and that's even getting into like, I was tired of it within the first 2 or 3 chapters. Later on, I know like apparently Smash Bros. Story elements get involved in this. But my eyes were just glazing over, and I was just not interested at all in this in any way. Granted, I wasn't in a great mood going in, so I think maybe give the first chapter first. I'd say give the first 2 chapters a look, because the first chapter, if I recall, was like basically just that initial thing of, oh, he's there and now he's in the world, and then jumps. The second chapter is actually where it starts. Give it a look, see if you like it. The thing is, it's definitely not complete. I just did not give a shit. It's gonna fall off my list. Number 2 is Sympathetic Properties by Mr. Norrell. And this is a pure Harry Potter fic where basically Harry says some slightly different words to Dobby when they first meet, and it then spans into a whole story of political maneuvering with the goblins and the Goblin Nation, and a bunch of lawyering and stuff like that, with a little character drama thrown in for flavor. Like, the beginning of it just starts with the simple standard independent Harry cliches of him like, hey, he went to Gringotts by himself and asked a question, and now he has a goblin friend for life, and like they want to help him get out from under his thumb, and oh, there's a lawyer who knew his parents and worked with them and some and such, and like they're gonna help him get out from evil Dumbledore's thumb. And then it starts progressing into the goblins pretty much arming themselves up with a war for the Ministry to take control of an island by themselves, and his friend is essentially going to become the Goblin King now, and such. And all of that spans the course of like a week or two. Like, the dates aren't very clear, at least, but like, I mean, I know that the thing starts on his birthday, and I'm pretty sure this is still within like the first week or so, and it's like I got through 400,000 words of this story, which is like 30 chapters or so of this story, and this is that, and I don't think more than like 2 weeks had passed, and it just never really engaged me. This is another one where it's like it just was boring. I found it a chore to read. Like nothing resolves. It was just it's the amount I read, like 400,000 words of just introduce new problem without ever fixing or resolving anything. It's just new problem, go there, 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 and it's just annoying and tiresome. I just found it irritating, so it's gonna fall off my list. Number 3 is Queen of the Swarm by Verherstine, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. But so this is a worm fic where Taylor basically, when Taylor goes for a trigger event in the locker, some of the blood has extra cauldron juice inside of it, and so she gets a little bit of a boost to her original power of controlling bugs, by also like basically turning into Queen Kerrigan from Zerg and StarCraft. And like you'd think it would be all about like body horror and such like that, and like there is a little bit of like, Taylor herself thinking, oh, I'm a monster, and looking like a monster and stuff. But overall the story is actually really positive for a worm fic. Like Danny is super supportive and basically adopts all the Undersiders and actually acts like a good dad, which is something that's like very much like 50-50 if he's ever in the story at all. for other worm fics. The good guys, in this case the Undersiders and the Taylor, like the good guys get wins and they get them without like really losing everything, like, and things work out. Um, Honestly, like for a worm fic, this is pretty much like euphoric or like a kid show version of Worm, kind of. Like I think like in tone wise, that's great. It's at least very optimistic and good. The action's handled nicely. The drama bits tend to get breezed over to get more into the action, like keep the flow of the story going quickly, and I think that's good. Like I feel like this is a Saturday morning cartoon version of Worm that overall ends on a good note. Like it worked out great. I think it was really fun, and it's gonna stay on my list. Number 4 is Pagans and Angels by Sakura Demon Alchemist. This is a sequel to a story called Tricksters and Gods, where Loki, at the end of the Avengers, like Odin used his power and he got reborn as Harry Potter, and he became a lawyer, and then it goes that first story goes through the whole MCU up to Thor: The Dark World, where Loki dies, where in reality he just leaves the universe to go somewhere else. And this is that sequel where he ends up going to the supernatural verse to hang out with Sam and Dean and a bunch of other people because he enjoyed Supernatural a lot. So unlike the previous story, which was like going through all the beats of the MCU, and this still goes through a bunch of the beats of Supernatural, but it doesn't focus on like how does his behavior stuff impact it. It's much more, the beats show up to be like, oh, he's there, so it just gets the problem gets like solved with a wave of the hand. It's much more interested in just Loki hanging out with Sam and Dean and just the character interaction bits and having fun and just doing random shit with that, rather than having Supernatural actually be any tension with all the monsters and stuff that they have to deal with. And all those character interactions, especially when other people from the MCU start getting involved and stuff like that, they're all entertaining. It's fun, and that's even before they then start jumping to a couple other multiverses like Stargate SG-1 and such, to have even more just fun time. It's a fun, essentially road trip ride that's just entertaining and a great continuation from the previous original story. I liked it. If you liked the first story, you'll like this. It stays on my list. And finally, for the video, we have Homo Superior by Vaughn. And this is a Ranma and X-Men crossover. Ranma 1/2. And the story is basically after Ranma's fight with Saffron, like Saffron gets triggered or gets detected as an Omega class mutant, so the professor and Jean Grey and such come over to collect the mutants, and they say, oh, Saffron's a mutant, Ryoga's a mutant, Akane's a mutant, so we're going to bring you to the X-Mansion. And then the parents argue enough so Ranma gets thrown in and brought in as well, even though he's not a mutant. Like, that's kind of whatever. Like, really, they should, like, even in the first chapter, like, why we bring him here? He's not a mutant. He doesn't deserve to be. He doesn't belong here. And it's like, whatever. They were gonna argue. Let's just bring him here, whatever. And like that gets moved on. But aside from that, like everything else is really entertaining. Like this is again like Saturday morning cartoon style. Like so this X-Men series, it's not Evolution. This is like a crossover with the mainline comics universe of X-Men. And not to say X-Men Evolution doesn't show up for a little bit, where that does happen because alternate universes and time travel and all that stuff. That's a comics thing. That shit happens. And it's fun. Like, but it's like Ranma. I think this is like this whole thing works as like a great, basically a season of a TV show. If this was like a Saturday morning cartoon, this would be a great season where you have like 6 or 7 major arcs of like Ranma getting introduced to the school, getting some friends, and then 7 arcs where things happen at the school and people go, and each of them is like would be like a multi-part episode. I think this works really well. The tone is really great. Ranma's friends are really fun. It's actually pretty divorced from much of the Ranma 1/2 side. Actually, like a lot of that stuff is not involved with this, aside from the three characters initially like being there and stuff, but like Akane and Ryoga basically become, you know, background characters very quickly, and it's very much just Ranma's story. And yeah, I just had a fun blast. You know, all the plots that they pick and the things that they do are fun. There's a whole time travel element, Terminator essentially arc that happens. I can see some people like who like Marvel or stuff like kind of having issues with the fact that like Rama is basically put on like top tier power scale, and if you want to get into power scaling, that's a whole thing. Like fine, but I just had a lot of blast. The fights that Rama gets into are all fun, engaging, and still like there is still tension in there for a bit. I just had a lot of fun with this. I think like if this was like a Saturday morning, again, if this was a Saturday morning cartoon, I would watch the whole season. Like this would have been a great like set for like one season of X-Men. Like I had a lot of fun with this, and it is going to stay on my list. So there we go for this 6-year anniversary episode. Fan fiction status time. Now I have read 1,111 stories, and 524 of them have managed to stay on my list. So thank you all so much for watching and going through this video. If you're interested in the stories, I have links in the description of the video down below, as well as links to the playlist where all of this is there. The thread on Sufficient Velocity where I also post this in written form, all that stuff. I really don't want to do this for like another 3 years, so hopefully I'll be able to finish this by next year. I'll try to get more than one video a month out. I know I was very slow this last year. I'll try to pick up the pace and do stuff sooner. But yeah, thank you again. Whether this is your first video or you know you've been watching since the beginning, like just thank you, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.